Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to a blustery day here at the Guide to Poor Parenting studio. It's another episode of A Guide to Poor Parenting, a podcast where me, Jason,
and me, Jennifer,
have a few drinks
and talk shit about our kids.
Please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Guide to Poor Parenting.
And Twitter, Facebook, TikTok at Poor Parent Pod.
Miss Jennifer, I am so excited for you to finally meet my hopefully new friend. I met her last weekend when she and her troupe of merry dancers were in town. If I remember, y'all you're part of the troupe, right? Okay, so welcome to the pod, Miss Alyssa.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Alyssa.
I'm excited to join.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Alyssa, you are actually a stage performer. Do you want to throw out your social medias? We'll get it at the end too, but you want to throw out...
My socials for stage are Haute-Coco, Haute-Cocoa, Nashville. Haute-Coco Nashville. On Instagram and Facebook and all of those things. Super easy to find.
Haute-Coco. How'd you come up with that name?
I think it's a hot cocoa.
Haute.
That's what it was.
Haute. It's
Ah.
Yeah.
Haute-Coco.
It's out. It's like a play on words, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I came up with that because I always was a very Whitley from a different world, if you know her.
Yes.
That was me
Yes.
growing up and still is. Everybody jokes like I'm very particular. I love being fancy. I love being glamorous. And I love being a Black woman. So those two things together just like made really good sense to me. And I like even things. So those two words together are 10 letters. And that makes me real happy with my autistic brain. So...
All right.
Love it.
When you listen to music in your car, does your volume number have to be a specific
42
number?
every time. Or 30 if I'm like jamming low.
I was about to say, if you got the kid in the car, 30 might be a little loud. But I have to do even numbers. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I love it. We were eating trail mix yesterday, and my kiddo was like, Mom, and I realized what he was doing because he was picking out, this is why I don't normally eat trail mix, but he was like, okay, white chocolate, dark chocolate, a nut, and then, like a craisin or something. Like, you needed to have like every one in his mouth, which is impossible when you just get trail mix normally. And I was like, oh, look at you.
Right.
Your little trail mix bites.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
so
is cute. Yeah. Separating Reese's Pieces by the colors and Skittles and yeah, and your favorite color for the last bite usually is what happens with me. Okay, so now you're my bestie.
There we go.
There we go.
Now, Miss Alyssa, there you go. What were you in town for last weekend?
For the band Books Burlesque show at Shenanigans. I have never been to that venue, and it was so much fun. So I had a really good time. And I met you.
Were you the one? Yeah, that's right. I remember when I first came in, it's because I volunteer at Shenanigans pretty regularly because I took the intro improv classes and the stand-up comedy classes. And I started volunteering with them. It was like the tail end of COVID is when I started.
Yeah.
And I've just been friends with Kim and Jessica, and they've both been on the podcast. But when I first came into my shift... Were you the one in the mouse costume? Okay. Me and one of the other people behind the bar were like, do you think she's part of the burlesque? I was like, I think so, just because I think I see pasties under her see-through bra. And I was like, unless she just really likes wearing pasties under a bra.
Which you never know at Shenanigans. So.
You never know what you're going to get.
I mean, this is true. Like, we've had people show up with like the little robotic parrots on their shoulders.
Okay.
So I'm like,
to each their own.
No judgment. Yep. No judgment.
No judgment.
All right, Miss Alyssa. Well, thanks for joining us today. What are we drinking for our cocktail? Did you make your own, or did you buy something?
My own. I was the Marin in there for a couple of days, so I try to this, the weekends are for my little treat time. So it's something to look forward to. I love homemade things like mulled wines and ciders. And so it's my treat to myself. I could make kombucha or something healthy, but instead
Is kombucha healthy?
I think so.
Oh. It doesn't sound appetizing.
Anything that says it has a mother feels alien to me, right? They're like, and I'm like, I don't like that. I've seen Nope, and that looks like that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I was thinking of making some myself, and then I was like, I'm glad I didn't because we ran out of time.
Yeah.
We were like running around, and because I was I was like, let's go have lunch, and then I gotta get some bottled sangria, and we are drinking Rancho Alto Sangria, which is a product of Spain.
España.
I know. España.
We went fancy.
We did, although it was only a $6 bottle, so fancy.
We don't care about prices. We care about what it tastes like. That's us.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little bit sweet.
Yeah,
it's not.
That's what the review says. I just looked it up. It says it's really popular, but it's very sweet almost.
Yeah, it's not as fruity.
Yeah.
As I would want a sangria to be. Like yours is probably
there's like some green apples in there,
keeping
some red
it,
apple.
Oh yeah.
The fruit is the best part.
Let's drive to Nashville and just go drink hers.
Yeah, we're coming up to have some of your sangria.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So this is a good spot for a break, so we'll be right back. And we're back. I don't know. Like we have been recently just added the feature into our podcast where they can stick in the dynamic ads. So I never know what's going to be in there. So like we have this one friend that's been listening since we started 3 years ago, and
shout out to Benjamin.
But he was like, I don't hear anything in the middle of the podcast. So who knows? But who knows? We've actually our profits just doubled, and we're up to 30 cents.
Oh,
we've earned 30 whole cents for the podcast.
Back in the day, that would have got us some shit, but now nothing. Yeah.
All right, Miss Alyssa, let's roll back the clock here. So you told me when we first started, or when I met you last weekend, that you were from El Paso, Texas. So tell us about growing up in El Paso, to give our listeners a sense of, like, do you mind telling us how old you are?
33. No, I'm 33.
If you're not, that's fine. 30,
you're a baby.
You're a beautiful baby.
Beautiful baby. Cocoa baby.
Hot cocoa baby.
So tell you about El Paso.
Actually, what was that like?
So, of course, it's a border town, and so people are, gosh, it must have been so terrifying and so scary. But it is consistently one of the safest places to grow up. And I felt that growing up. I didn't feel unsafe or anything. I think it's a blessing that it's such a diverse community, especially because it's a military town. So people are moving from all over this country to move there. Of course, like any military town, there's lots of mixed race children running around, mixed nationality kiddos. And so I think that helped. I loved the mountains. I think I have a big cactus tattoo on my back because I think the Southwest is the most amazing place in the States. So I loved getting to go to Rio Doso, go up the mountains. I loved the food. I'm a sucker for El Paso. I know a lot of people are like, boo, but I think it was a really great place to grow up. I had really great friends. Obviously, then we could go to Mexico, just kind of back and forth. So, that colors things a little bit. I'm like, that was so fun because we could just walk across the border.
Heck yeah.
It was a really fun place to grow up.
How long were you? So you were born there? Were you born at the military hospital?
At Fort Sill Military Hospital in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. And then you moved to Heidelberg. Then you got transferred.
Germany.
Oh, okay. So as a baby, Mama is Army. Is Daddy?
Yes, my parents divorced when I was 2, though, and then my dad got out. But my mom stayed in the entire time. I think she retired. It was my senior year, if not like that summer. So in my entire childhood, my mom was active military.
Gotcha.
Wow.
How long were y'all in Oklahoma where you were born?
A hot second. I have no memories, of living there.
Right. Colorado Springs. my father ended up getting put on duty where we couldn't go with him. So then we ended up in Illinois where my grandparents are, and then we went to Germany. So I was a baby in Germany as well. So you went from Oklahoma to Heidelberg. Did you do the 3 years in Heidelberg?
Wow.
And how do you remember any?
Yeah, I remember learning I got locked in the Heidelberg Castle song. I remember pre-K. I remember kindergarten. I remember Snow, Friends. Pocahontas had come out. The 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close. I remember seeing that in theaters when we lived over there. I also saw Set It Off with my babysitter. Sorry, Mom.
Nice, but not as a kindergartner. I mean, because
I think
it's so it hurts.
A lot of feelings about Queen Latifah, and I've heard that movie and sing it at a very young age of being like, yes.
If y'all can forgive this poor old white man, Set It Off the one where they're the bank robbers?
Yes.
The robbers. Yes. And in there, doesn't Latifah die at the end where like she gets out of the car and they shoot the fuck out of her?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
She was hardcore lesbian.
My babysitter was watching me, Andrea. Shout out to her, wonderful German woman. She took me to see that movie and was like, cover your eyes. And I covered my eyes, sure, but not my ears, so I could hear everything.
Right.
But I loved living in Germany. I thought it was a really beautiful, fun place. Going to the castles, lots of street artisans. My mom has like a ton of those like charcoal drawings of me from when I was little, from just like,
nice.
We traveled a lot when I was little since we lived there. So like Italy, Spain. And so I think I'm really fortunate for the Army and military in that way, because not every kiddo has that experience, but obviously there's shit with it too.
Yeah.
So funnily enough, Jennifer and my husband and I actually went and had dinner at a restaurant here in town called Old Heidelberg.
Stop! You went to Old Heidelberg. I love it. Did they sing the "I Got Locked in the Heidelberg Castle" song?
No,
I've never heard of the song. So,
but our waiter was. It was a slow night, so he was very attentive.
Yes.
But didn't understand how to pronounce. He brought us a
sample
aperitif,
of something. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, the German lady says it's a very long German word that she's saying," and I'm like, "Okay, there are some of those, Schadenfreude."
How long is it? They don't
think of
words are not normally that
right.
long.
So he brings it and Jason looks it up, and I'm like, "It's 5 letters."
Yeah, it's like
it's Schorle.
SCHOLRE.
And then it's Apfelschorle. And I'm like, how is that a long
I don't
word?
have the mental capacity for this.
Yeah. And what's sad is that is SCH, I always think of Scheiße. So I could pronounce sh, like it's supposed to in German. So it was Schorle. Okay.
Too hard for him. He said it was too big of a word.
Yes.
Yep. Too much meth in his system for that evening.
Yeah. Okay, so you were in Germany for primitive years, it sounds like. Pre-K, kindergarten,
and then
first grade?
Back here for first grade, yep.
El Paso?
So my mom, of course, like you said, so I was with my grandparents for first grade, second grade, and third grade in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Which school district was it?
It was
school?
Bedford Elementary School. Bedford, yeah. So that's where they lived at the time. Now they live in Grapevine, but they had, this super cute little house in Bedford. Loved being there. And then my mom was stationed in South Carolina, and I was with her for about 6 months and hated it and begged to go back to my grandparents. Was just not. It was a weird place. South Carolina is a really interesting place. And that was right when September 11th happened. And so my mom thought she was going to get deployed anyways when I was in 5th grade. So I went back with my grandparents. And then 6th grade through high school in El Paso that whole entire time.
Gotcha. Why didn't you stay with your mom the 3 years that you were with your grandparents before she was
doing
South
field?
Carolina?
She was in the field constantly, and so she just felt like for continuity of care, it was easier for me to be with my grandparents.
Right.
Which I agree with now.
That makes sense.
Like in hindsight, that obviously was the more consistent choice. And my uncle lived next door to them. My cousin lived down the street. My other uncle lived around the corner. So, like, our little family's unit versus us being kind of isolated by ourselves.
And then you would be in with a babysitter that takes you to go see Set It Off at 5 years old.
That was in Germany before my grandparents were available. After that,
yeah. I will say that whenever my father got, whenever we were in Germany, he got sent off on missions or whatever because he was in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, so he went. It was the best times ever, just me and my mom, like because she's full German, so we never lived on base. We were always off base. And then you never have to have transportation. Like, you don't have to have a car. Just go take the train, go take a bus. Amazing. I mean, just loved
now
it.
That you're saying, I think that's
it
why.
It was perfect.
I think I love trains because I'm autistic. But I definitely remember always taking the trains all the time when we lived in Germany. Like, taking the train to the zoo, just thinking it was so much fun. I love the Tennessee Rail Museum here in town. It's embarrassing how many times I've been as an adult.
No, it's not.
It's like a bunch of old white men. It's so funny. They're like, "Are you in the right place?" I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Yes, you're like Sheldon, just a hotter version.
There are much worse things to be embarrassed about. Liking trains is not one of them.
No.
All right, so you land back in.
We'll go to El Paso.
El Paso for sixth grade?
6th through high school.
Right? Yep.
Oh, so middle school and high school. How was that?
Was rough. I was a really awkward kid. I was on the dance team. Loved that. That was like my whole entire passion. Loved theater. But I was just awkward. I just was really lanky. Everything was growing at the wrong time. I couldn't understand like boy dating social cues. It just was not clicking for me. So middle school was kind of just figuring it out. Like, like I remember the summer going into 8th grade, we all went to the pool and I was in a tankini like a dork as usual. And like trying to do water games.
What else would you be in?
Tankinis are really comfortable. I'm not gonna front. I've loved a tankini for life. I personally like when my nipples stay in when I'm swimming. So I like tankini.
I was about to say,
when you're like,
well, if I was a woman, I'd want a tankini.
When you're like 14, and my mom was not about to let me wear a bikini, but my friends are all like laying out in their bikinis, and I'm still doing like water games in my tankini. I was like, oh, there's a shift happening, and I'm not quite sure if I'm catching it.
Right.
Well, I would imagine you're laying out with the girls laying out with the white ones.
Also that. Also, I was like, if I lay out, I will die. I know you guys think I can't get sunburned, but I can't get skin cancer, so it's still real.
And you can get darker. It's I mean,
my granddaughter gets way darker the more time she spends outside.
Listen, my summer color is just full. Can't wait for it.
Yeah. So, was your mom stationed in El Paso for 6 years? That's unheard. Well, to me, that's unheard of because of the 3-year thing.
She was, she is pretty high up. I don't know how she made that happen.
What'd she retire as?
I don't know. That's a good question. Should I text her and ask her?
No, it's okay.
It doesn't matter.
I was just wondering.
Do you know if she was enlisted or an officer?
She was an officer for sure.
Oh. Okay.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay. She had rank. She pulled that shit. She's like, I'm not moving my daughter. I want her to be able to have at least
government stuff. Because her and my stepdad he's former military as well, and like from Puerto Rico, and so they both like do government work from home and have been work from home for like 5+ years. So they're like, nobody's taking shit from us, and I'm like.
Right. I'm not going back into
my mom is like, I am a disabled veteran. I'm like, I feel it. I got it.
Go, mom.
Did she get hurt?
She's got bad back problems, like really bad. And again.
But she's still working even after retiring because that's awesome. Then she gets a pension, her retirement, and
her and my stepdad ended up going to Italy for years. They were there unfortunately during the pandemic, but they were there for 3 years, and that was doing work, U.S. government work. But that's one of those beauties and those benefits of, I guess, long-term service. How's your brain though, Mom?
Yeah. All right, so you graduate El Paso
in 2000 what? 2009.
And then I go to university. Hey,
Jennifer graduated in 2001, I think.
I'm a 1999.
UNT, go Mean Green.
University. Oh yeah, when Alyssa was telling me about her like life story when I was volunteering, it was like she and I kind of like orbited around each other from a distance because I grew up in Austin and then went to Huntsville, Texas for grad school, and then went to Dallas, Texas for grad school, and I know UNT because I was at SMU.
Southern Methodist. Look at that.
I always had a joke because like every time I would go to the gym on campus, it was like they had a beach volleyball course, and it looked like a bunch of Abercrombie and Fitch models. And so anytime I was walking around campus and I saw like a person of color or a larger person, like in a larger like I am, I was like, oh, y'all are on scholarship just like me.
We say that at Belmont all the time. I work at Belmont City, and so every time I'm like, oh, okay. I see how you got here. But that's okay. We love this for you.
Yeah. So you did, what was your
My
undergraduate
was in human development, humans, learning how we...
Is that like...
Human development
or is that something different?
The study of just like humans, actually like the early infant stage and that middle adulthood stage and then that older stage. So like at one point I thought I was going to become a gerontologist. I was very like adamant. I'm going to become a gerontologist. Which life is not over. That could still happen, but
what is that?
Study of old people.
What?
Okay. I heard, I was thinking geriatric, but I was like, I've never heard of a gerontologist before. So you taught me something today. So thank you.
Learning. Always learning.
Aww.
So how was UNT for college? Was that my college experience was like a blast, and Jennifer just finished her associate, so she didn't get to the college experience.
1 star.
Well, it was online and took me 6 years and COVID and add a kid in there. It was
I would not do that again.
No. Yeah. And I'm 43, so I am definitely not going to go try to party up with some college kids. No. So.
College was awesome. I loved college. It was a blast. It was a lot of really good fun. I was in Greek life. I was a student ambassador that gave tours. I was on student government. So, I had a really fun time in college. I thought it was just the coolest fucking place ever, which is probably why I work at one now, because I'm like, y'all, this is the best time of your life. Take advantage of all these like free things and opportunities. And I'm so close with like a lot of my college friends. So it has its ups and downs, but I love UNT. I thought it was a great school.
Yeah, I did undergrad at SW or what's Texas State now, but it was SWT. But yeah, I still am.
Is that the Longhorns?
Longhorns is Austin, but like no one knows Texas State, but like most people know.
But University of Texas State is important.
It is, but I mean, like no one in Alabama knows what the fuck Texas State is, so I just say you because I grew up in Austin, so I don't mind. That's where Utah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he doesn't like. I am an Auburn Tiger fan, like through and through, War Eagle. But he'll be like randomly be like, "Go Longhorns," and I'm like, "Okay," or "Hook 'em horns." That's what it is.
Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, okay," but you don't watch football.
Yeah, well, I just say it to irritate you.
No, you know what would irritate me is if you said the RT, and we're not even going to say that here.
All right, so you get done with college, and then is that when you moved to Nashville, or Chicago?
That's right. That's punishment, and I said I would like to continue to go to school, so I applied for grad school. I don't know why I was determined to the Midwest because I'm a dumbass, and so I applied for only graduate schools in the Midwest, like in Michigan and Illinois, and all these places that I should not live as somebody who's used to hot weather.
I was thinking about that, but then you might have thought I want a different experience because like you've experienced the hot weather. Yeah.
Moved to the winter. So I got into grad school at Northeastern Illinois, which is outside of Chicago, or like right on the edge of Chicago, into their urban studies program, which I was really excited about because it's all about kind of like the Black movement in cities in the early 20s through 60s, how urban developments, happen, how to keep them equitable, all of that. So I was excited about the program, and
That's
I
cool.
loved living in my neighborhood in Chicago. I lived in like a little Swedish neighborhood. It was wonderful. If it wasn't so cold, I would still live there because I think it's important to have public transit, having a zoo that's free, having the lakefront, having, I could walk out my front door and see a park, go 2 blocks and there's another park. And so there's so many things I miss about living there. And I wish I could live there, but again, it's cold as shit. Like, I cracked a shirt in half.
I was just about to.
I cannot. Literally, we froze it outside and cracked it in half, and I said, I have to leave this place.
Oh, I thought you were wearing, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing that you would be like out there that long that you cracked? Like, can't have a wet t-shirt contest when it's negative 20 degrees.
That's nipples cracking off at that point. Like,
yeah, pasties ain't gonna do shit on that.
I was actually about to ask because, like, Zay and I have been talking about what we're gonna do when the kids are out of the house, and I was like, wherever we go, we're getting like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, so the fuckers can't move back in with us. But but I was like, I kind of wanted to go to Chicago because, like, I like a big city, but New York's too expensive. DC's too expensive, and I was
Minneapolis.
I was thinking about that, but I think it's just as fucking cold, isn't it?
Like, it's colder. Walking things that connect their buildings a lot of the time, so you don't have to go outside to get around, and they have great public transit.
Mm. Well, I would like by the time we get there, we'll probably I hate to say it, but like we'll probably have enough money that we could probably snowbird, and I work remotely, so I was like. He's a fucking nurse, so I'm just like, you do some travel nursing during the winter months down.
Yeah, that's one of my friends. She bought an apartment in the complex I'm in, and she used to be a travel nurse, and so she bought one that she can rent out to travel nurses. So I love that. That's such a good idea.
But do you recommend Chicago? Did you?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was an amazing city to live in. I loved every single second of it. I was like, guys, I'm at Wrigley Field. I don't give a shit about baseball. Look at this. Like,
but it's pretty.
That's crazy. It definitely is a really fun city. And there's something for everybody. I lived right near Boys Town at one point, and so
that's where we want to live.
It just was so fun to be able to be like, wow. At this place, and there's so much history, and the food is the shit, man. I had to work out so much. I definitely gained a lot of weight when I moved there originally. Don't move in the winter. That's a bad time to move there like I
did. You got it. Yeah. Take that as a note. When I was in Dallas, I was in this like right up in just north of, like a block or two north of the neighborhood. Right next to the Park Cities, and it was like I could bike everywhere I wanted to go. I got a little Vespa like scooter, and I mean, like this damn thing couldn't go over 25 miles an hour, but like all the streets were like the fastest street I could get on in that area was like 40 miles an hour, and I just avoided that one street. So I loved living in big cities and like having everything close by and lots to do. So you get done with grad school. Did you get done with grad school and then to Nashville?
Yeah, then to Nashville.
Okay, so how long have you been in Nashville now?
Since 2013.
Oh, wait. So 12 years? That's the longest you've been anywhere, isn't it?
Crazy.
Isn't that the weirdest thing to think about? Like, after all that traveling?
Somehow I just Nashville's not letting me go right now. So, and I don't think that that's because I want to leave. I think that's that like military kid itch in me that's like, all right, that's actually way too much time in one space. We should leave.
Have you been in the same place for the 12 years or have you moved around
like within Nashville?
Yeah. So I bought a house, moved around. Wasn't every 3 years. It kind of depended on like roommates and stuff. But I still moved around even though I was in the same city. But when I bought my house, I found that around 3 years, something needed to change. And I think it's that military mentality that I need to redo this room. or this room needs to be redone, or this bathroom needs to be redone. Something needs to change because
I need to adopt a child.
or I need to
It's
adopt
that
a child.
monotony, and I'm like, y'all don't do. Like,
It's
people that,
weird.
like, my ex-husband grew up in the same house, and I'm like, that's like you lived
How
in
did
the
you
same
do
house your
that?
whole life. You like came home from the hospital and then
Yeah.
you grew up there, and like we still go back there. That's crazy.
Yeah. And people look at us weird for not understanding. And a lot of people are like, well, don't you miss, like, because I know some people have never, like, been on an airplane before here in Huntsville, like, and they're like, I've had the same best friend since kindergarten, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but
that's a default friend. Tell me how you've maintained this friendship for 40 years.
Right. And you grow, and people change. So how can this still be your best? I don't see that because even as an adult, my best friends have changed.
That's lame.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand it myself. And they're just like, well, don't you miss that you don't have friends from elementary school? And I'm like, I don't remember my elementary school.
It's like siblings. People are like,
right.
Oh, you're an only child and you only have a stepbrother. I'm like, yeah, but I never had. It's not like I had a sibling and they passed away or something. Like I never had one, so I can't miss that what was never in existence.
What you never had.
I can't miss a childhood home
Definitely.
that was not a thing.
Wasn't.
Like I can't. I consider my grandparents' home definitely more of like my home base, my childhood home in that sense because they lived, and now they've moved into a different house when I was like 18, but they lived in the same house. That was that consistency. And I think it makes you more, well, I'm definitely not a hoarder or a pack rat, right? Like I'll get rid of some shit real quick. I'm like, this means, does this spark joy? No, goodbye. And it makes you more intentional.
That.
We can only have so many boxes.
It makes you more intentional with with people in relationships because you know that, my best friend that lived down the street when I was 5 doesn't anymore, and so how am I going to maintain this relationship with this person? And I think a lot of times staying in the same place leads to just default companionship of all types, which is awful.
Yep. Right. And I mean, it's definitely interesting when I talk to people. When I moved to the South, I didn't understand a lot of the euphemisms. Is that the right word? Mm-hmm. And then I've never been on an airplane. I'm like, why haven't you left Alabama? Like, do you not want to explore? Like, it just, blew my mind. But we're talking about you. So, so Nashville, 12 years now.
So you said
in between that, sorry.
I was about to say your son's 8, so you've obviously had your son in Nashville. So. Yeah. How do we get to Mr. Sun?
Yeah, so my ex-husband and I met in Chicago, and I was gonna move here either way. We weren't married at the time; we had just gotten engaged, but I didn't want to stay in Chicago just because, again, it was really cold, and I was looking for something kind of cheaper because it's state income tax there; it's expensive, and as a Texas girl, I was emotionally traumatized from taxes, and so I was like, cool, Tennessee seems like. It's 10 hours from Dallas if we had to drive to see my family. Or it's 8 hours if we have to drive to Chicago. There's no state income tax. It's the South, and as much as people want to talk shit about the South, I love being from the South. I'm a Southern girl through and through. I needed that. Like, I needed it. And so that's how we ended up in Nashville. And also we have like over 400 nonprofits, and that's where I wanted to work. So I knew I could get a job pretty easily.
A 1 in 400 chance. Yeah, I mean, come on.
They have hundreds of nonprofits. Perfect. So that's how we ended up here.
Now, how long were y'all married for?
8 years. So, yeah, 8 years.
So you're
like last year, freshly
and
divorced.
Son.
Oh wow.
Oh, so son was born. Y'all were pretty much married like right before he was born.
I got pregnant within like the first year of us being married. Yeah, because my son was born in 2017. So and we got married November 2015.
Okay.
Wow. What was the wedding like?
Was it a big one? Super big. It was cute.
Southern wedding?
I did a lot of fun DIY. I also have weird theater kids, so many crafty friends, right? So like it was a vintage style wedding, so like thrifting big fancy mirrors and all of those things. So, I mean, the wedding was a great time. I know how to throw a goddamn party, let's be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next party, I'm coming.
There we go.
Was it in
No, we got
Nashville?
married in Dallas.
The
we
wedding?
got married with my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
More family. Gotcha.
Yeah, they're way better.
Cool.
So when y'all got pregnant, was it intentional?
Yeah,
or
it was definitely intentional.
Oopsie.
We had only tried for like a month, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm actually pregnant. And I didn't like being pregnant. I won't say that. I was neutral about being pregnant. You know what I mean? I wasn't like a pregnant lady that hated it, but I wasn't like.
But also, you're like, yes, okay.
I understand that this is just like the step to get to the I want the kid, and so this is what I've chosen to get it out of me. One. It was not like I didn't have. Yeah, I was just like, yes, I am growing a person. That's fucking weird. But I wasn't one of those ladies like, I love being pregnant. I can't wait to be pregnant again, like a jugger or something.
Oh. Right. Or the one that had to like lay in bed.
Oh yeah. Like, and I wasn't miserable.
You were sick
like,
to your stomach. I
felt generally good. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I'm glad you
which is why I don't want to have any more kids.
So many women.
I'm like, that shit was way too easy. There's no way. I'm like, next time I'll die. Like,
they actually say the second one is easier than the first one. I don't know, but I don't know.
You're still young. Have another one.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, she's a baby.
So wait, you're 33 now. You said, and so you were pretty young when you had your son.
I should not have been married. I should not have had a baby.
Well, I will say, being a geriatric parent, like we didn't get our son until we were in our 40s, and now we're raising our granddaughter. The energy levels are like, the older I get, the more tired I get, and I just don't have the bandwidth to do as much as I did.
Yeah, that's what my mom says all the time when she like visits. She's like, holy shit, you do this all the time? I'm so fucking tired. She's like, just like, like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So I know it probably wasn't your ideal, but I will say I wish I was mature enough to have adopted in my 20s or had a child in my 20s, because it's a whole different ball game when you hit your 40s, especially your late 40s.
Well, and I always think in hindsight, like, if I hadn't had my son, because he was kind of that catalyst for me to reevaluate myself in my life. Had we like gotten married and then waited to have kids, I might have ended up staying in this marriage. Like, that was bad for me a lot longer because I was trying. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I may have been too young, but it's okay. I mean, I wasn't like 18 or something. I had a full-time job.
I was about to say, you're not that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't
in hindsight,
too young. You had your fun in your colleges, you know, when you were in Chicago. So now you have a different type of fun.
Way different.
Someone who wants your attention 24/7. May I ask what his name is? Lorenzo.
Oh, that's a cute name. I like that name.
Yeah. So Lorenzo's 8.
As of Valentine's Day, so like a month ago.
Aww.
Jennifer's son was born near the 14th.
Yeah, he's on the 18th.
Good old February birthdays.
Yeah.
Did y'all did that just happen on its own, or did you do
just
something
happened on its own? I've been trying to go into labor.
So he always gets candy
before that, and it was not happening. So.
Oh. But hey, when he's in school, he always gets candy on his birthday, honestly, no matter what.
It's fun for now when you're 8, but as you get older and there's dating pressure.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a little
hard birthday.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I can speak from experience because I'm a Christmas baby. Yeah. Well, it's like what you were saying earlier. Like, I have no other experience.
Yeah.
So like, I can't compare it to anything else. So like, and my parents always made sure I had, Christmas presents and birthday presents.
Yes.
So it's not that big. I don't know. I can't compare it to.
That were like, it's Jesus's birthday only. Bye.
No, luckily.
Here's your gift. Life. Whatever.
Right.
So did y'all, when y'all had Lorenzo, did y'all talk about having a second one? Or were you, like, when you had him, you were like, I am done. This vagina is closed for business.
And I was like, I don't know. I honestly really liked being only child. I feel like that was a huge dynamic for me. I see a lot of people with poor like sibling familial relationships. And I was like, you know what? I feel really confident that I can do this and like pour into this one child intentionally in the way I want to. Um, Also worked in childcare for what, 12 plus years. And so I know what it looks like when people realistically have multiples and also try to maintain some type of autonomy as a person. And it's a lot harder. So I
Right.
was like, that is not for me. If I want to have more, they need to have a big age gap. Like a bunch of little kids running around looks honestly like the worst from my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand the people who have one and then another one and they're both
Yeah.
still in
Yeah.
diapers. And you're
Yeah. We had
like,
families that would have like
how
3
do you
kids
do
enrolled
it?
at like our center that was 5 and under. And it was just, it was a lot logistically for them. You could see the
Yeah.
disheveled as, you know, they added more kids and then the pandemic babies. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
And the financial
I was
too,
gonna say
because it is
cost of
expensive.
Writing their
childcare
little
is
like tax receipts at the end of the
crazy.
year for people with 2 and 3 kids is, I'm like, do you know how if I give this to you, you're gonna
Yeah.
be upset, but here you go. Here's how much you spent. It's like
You're gonna cry.
$60,000 on childcare this year. That's crazy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Especially if they're in diapers because they get charged more because
Yeah,
of the
I
extra
mean,
work
infant
that's in
care
them. So
alone
you got
is
3 under 5.
crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm terrified of
Ugh.
having twins. I
Gosh.
know that sounds bad. My partner is a twin. I love him dearly. But I personally, like the idea of having 2 tiny babies at once sounds horrifying.
My sister has
And I'm sure it's
twins.
great when they're older, but I'm like,
She
I can't.
well, when they were babies, they're
Okay.
fraternal. So luckily they're not identical because I probably would be like,
Yeah.
which one? But she did a really good job as a single mama of twins of giving both of them
Yeah.
the love and the attention.
Yeah.
I mean, she had help,
Yeah.
but my siblings, I got my brother, he's my half brother. I was 18 when he was born. So I wasn't an only child till 18. And then my mom married my pops. And then I got 3 stepsisters. And they're like, I'm the oldest of all of them, but the youngest is in her 30s. So I get kind of, I guess, maybe, I feel like the best of both worlds. Only child.
Yeah.
And then now I have like nieces and nephews
I love that.
galore. And,
Yeah.
siblings. And so I love it. So you said that you and your ex just recently
Last year.
divorced. How did Lorenzo cope with that?
I mean, it was a journey at first. Those first few weeks were hard because even though he is resilient, he's got his continuity. I think his therapist helped a lot. Lots of therapy. Being honest with him about what was happening and doing the shitty work that no one likes to do for themselves, like reading about divorce and processing his feelings and letting him just like talk about things. So I think it's a lot better now that there's a really good consistent pattern and routine. But it's every day is different.
Right.
Are you and your ex kind of amicable?
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty good co-parents. Not partners, but definitely pretty good co-parents in the sense of like maintaining the idea that like we're a team for our child and it's not really about us in any other capacity.
Are y'all 50-50 custody,
we
or
only
is
live
it
like
primary?
4 minutes apart. So, and that's intentional, of course. So Enzo can like have that if there's an emergency or anything. He's at his same school he's been at, so
that's good.
I will say one of our friends who's been on the podcast, she's a single mother now, but she and her ex-husband have 50-50 custody. And I was like, I will say, like, if I was going to parent, the idea of having 50-50 custody sounds really nice. It was like, oh, I got 3 days off.
It sucks. I miss him like shit. I miss him on those days. I mean, there is like easy and like sometimes, like when I want to go on a trip, I'm like, oh, thank goodness, like I don't have to figure this out for this weekend. I'm free. But then, like on Wednesdays when he's at his dad's, I'm like, fuck, I really miss him. And this sucks that I'm not like getting to make dinner, or, you know what I mean? It's like that annoying shit that you hate
Aw.
doing
Yeah.
that you miss when your kid is not around. Or I'm like, oh, I wish you were talking to me about Minecraft right now. Like,
Right.
but then they're back and you're like, wow, you talk. Oh, wow.
About Minecraft or
Yeah.
stuff I'm not really interested in.
Yeah.
Go play a game or something. Cool.
Yeah. Go watch some TV. I missed you so much. It's a weird dynamic, definitely.
What how was his early childhood? Any like developmental problems or
Yeah, he's
you're
a regular,
blessed.
regular kid. I mean, I was the preschool director at his preschool, so I think that helps. But he met all of his milestones. He, I think he's got a little ADHD, which he would be getting honest from Dad and I. But outside of that, like, real boring run of the mill kid, which I am super, super thankful for. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We Jennifer and I go to a support group for adopted parents, and it's always like a one horror story after another of like, oh, my child hid in the crawl space for 3 hours and we had to call the cops because we couldn't find him, or oh, my child chased me down the hall with a knife, or shit like that.
And that's hard.
So.
I mean, I've had, even, and people don't understand, like, even in the early ed space, like, I've had to have those conversations with parents of like, your 3-year-old is hurting themselves, like throwing themselves against the wall. These are not normal behaviors. We've got to figure this out. And so,
Right.
but it's hard. And I think it's really hard when you see littles like that struggle, because you want to fix it and you really can't. Like, it's hard.
You can't make them do the testing to figure out what's going on with them.
At one point, I had an infant who was 13, 14 months old and not sitting up on his own, and had to literally have an argument with his mom of the fact that, like, this is a developmental delay. This is inarguably, like, this is not even my personal opinion. This is, and those are hard conversations to have because we love our kids so much, and we don't want things to be a reflection of us at all. And so, just remembering that village, and other people love your kid and want to see them thrive, but it can be hard as a parent to hear that shit.
Yeah. Or to even understand if they've never seen that type of behavior before, or never talked to anybody, or don't look it up, like,
or it's normalized,
kind of thing.
Or there, so you talk to parents sometimes and they're like, oh, well, my mom said that's how my brother and I were growing up, like we would just lose our minds or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so now I see where we're, like, okay, this is a pattern. Not that this is right or wrong, but I'm seeing why you don't think that this is an issue, because this is how this is how you respond when you're mad or whatever.
Right, yeah. I didn't sit up on my own until I was 2 years old, like, Like, I was walking when I was like 7 or 8 months old. Like, every kid's different, yes, but there's a certain sitting up. No. 13 months they should be walking. Or at least crawling, So you said you work at the university. So is it a childcare place in the university that you work at, or is have you changed jobs?
I left childcare a long time, and that's because I was burnt out. Honestly, I've been doing this for a long time. I had to navigate my center through the pandemic, after the pandemic, PPP loans, like all of the craziness, and parents were very different after that, like really heightened and anxious. I had 2 and 3-year-olds that hadn't had solids yet, and it was making it really hard to do our jobs, because that sheltering in place had like really isolated families, which is someone else's burden to carry. I love them, but not for me right now. So now I work in the granting department for Belmont University for the arts and theology. So we are a grant making organization. It is much calmer and quieter.
That's awesome.
For older kids.
Yeah, it's really weird being on a college campus after working with little people for so long.
Right.
I'm like, oh, hello, adults.
You can walk and talk and you eat solids.
God,
wow.
I hope someone will eat solids, although I question it.
Well, I mean, they might be drinking a lot of their,
I'm like, iced coffee, your vape, and 2 tequila shots at night does not count as a full day of meals, but baby steps to get there.
College.
Hey.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've seen in TV shows. That's what college is, right? You just drink all the time. You don't go to class. That's kind of what it is, right?
First year
I don't know.
Oh gosh!
All I know is TV shows. So
and I was like, "Holy shit! Really?" I was like, "Oh, yeah."
I need to do better.
Yeah, my first year living in the dorms at Texas State, I think my GPA was like 1.8 or something. So bad. Because I was just like, I would sit outside and we would play cards and smoke and drink. And I'd be like, I don't have to worry about these classes. I did have to worry about those classes, in fact.
Why they should not let 18-year-olds go
See,
to college?
I couldn't do that.
Right? You're like,
yeah.
Do I really need to go learn about geology? Yes, bitch. You need to be in the class to learn that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could do that even at 18.
You were always, you're overly responsible.
Yes.
This is Jennifer's trauma response.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking like I could oh God. Like I didn't really care about school, but I don't think I could have not
kidding.
done that. Like is words are hard. I just
So do you think you're going to stay at Belmont for the foreseeable future? Like, is it or
it's got great benefits. I really like the work that I do. It's conveniently located. They will likely pay for your PhD. So, those are all things to consider. I know that's like one of my friends is doing his PhD through them right now at that super discounted rate. And so, there's no reason to leave right now. I love the arts. I would love to move into something more like not in the theology realm, but baby steps. So
is Belmont a seminary?
No, it's a liberal arts college, but they do have like a school of theology and music and all of that stuff. So
okay.
But they have they also have nude modeling classes, and we have like a Jewish center on campus and things like that, even though it's a private Christian university. So that I do love. There's a ton of really brilliant people of color on that campus that do good work like in our community. I'm working with a professor right now that's doing like an anthology of border stories of people who like grew up on the border. And so there's so many cool people there. So it's like I can handle dealing with the other things. And it's not like you have to like go to chapel or anything.
That's good.
I mean, if you're us, we don't.
As heathens.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go anyways. I would.
We're not. But I mean, I didn't want to assume anything.
I'm honestly surprised I haven't been like. Well, and I won't say I won't. I'm not surprised because again, like the student, faculty, staff population is highly diverse. There's Jewish, there's Muslim students, there faculty and staff. There's a really, really strong queer community on campus. And so it's fun to be with the students in that sense of like, what would they, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're envisioning something different for like themselves and what their legacy is. So they're invigorating in that sense. The youth.
That's awesome.
I like that for you, that you get to be around. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Is it Methodist or what denomination is it?
Yeah, non-denominational. Oh, okay. And so like I think maybe I was telling you when I was there, but Belfast is like Nashville's sister city. And so we just had a really cool peace summit. We had Belfast University students, their vice mayor, and a few other people come talk about the Irish Troubles, how the civil rights movement inspired Ireland and what that looks like as a country for them moving forward. What does it look like for us moving forward? And so, again, great, fun things that get facilitated, especially in the section I'm in the arts, because you can be a little more free. We're not federally funded, we're privately funded. And so we don't have to worry about, not being allowed to say diversity, equity, inclusion, or like, this is, Latinx prioritized, whatever it may be.
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
Which
that's
in the
really
nonprofit
good.
sector right now, I know so many of my friends are like stressed. Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know if I work for a defense contractor. So I'm like, I don't know if my government coworkers are getting furloughed or not. So it's like, nightmare.
What a hellscape.
So Yeah. All right. So he's 8 now, so he's second
Yeah.
grade.
Second grade
How's
has
that
been
going?
fun. I love his teacher this year. She's got 3 kids of her own, but she implements like the leader in me model, which I absolutely love. And so, really being focused on being like a good citizen in their classroom, advocating for others, stepping in when someone needs assistance. She does a lot of work on what does it look like to be an ally as a student. And so I think that this year he's learned a lot of the things he needs to learn for 3rd grade, but his empathy level and like his cognitive understanding because of his teacher and the work we're doing at home has been like, this has been such a great year for him as an 8-year old. Yeah,
That's
That's
yeah.
so
awesome.
awesome.
Is your ex-husband also in the same mindset? Not mindset.
School district.
No, no, no. They're
Like
only 4 minutes
philosophy
apart.
wise,
Like
very
philosophy
different.
wise, like
Oh
what
yeah.
does he encourage? Very
Oh
different.
I'm pretty sure
Okay,
he,
that's what I was
yeah,
trying.
like
Like,
homework is not a priority. School, you know what I mean? Like, those are not the things for him. And so that's hard when you're like, oh, I married somebody so opposite of me and now I have to get rid of you. Like for me, learning is liberation, right? Reading is liberation. Having those types of conversations, having memberships to museums, those
yep,
are things that matter. And not for dad, right?
to you.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's you don't have to get too much into detail, but like, did y'all? Was there a lot of emphasis on you being the primary parent because he's like,
Yeah, he's
oh,
like,
I'm a man, I
yeah,
don't
he's
have
like,
to
well,
do
you
this
have an
shit.
education background and you work in early ed. And so, especially when he was little, he'd be like, well, you're the expert, so you can handle it. And I'm like, well, no, you're also the expert because he was born at the same time for both of us. Like, you've been parenting him the same amount of time. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the mama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to be the
Yeah.
primary parent
Yeah,
in this
like even
Yeah.
household.
last week,
Yeah.
kiddo hit
Yeah.
his head, like got a goose egg, so the school called, and they were like, "Well, we tried to call dad." Like, of course you did. And he didn't answer. He's like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw the school called." I'm like, "You just let it ring?"
Why wouldn't you answer that
Oh,
call? Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Well,
All
well.
right. So here's the thing I've been dying to ask. You were in Huntsville last week because you were part of the
yeah.
burlesque troupe. So when did you start
Oh, yes.
burlesque?
Okay, so 2 years ago, I took my first burlesque class. So it's not technically my 2-year anniversary, I guess, until I have my performance anniversary. So that's July, but almost 2 years then.
That's so awesome. Where'd you take it
House
at?
of Bits here. Oh, this is actually their last month openers moving back to Ohio, but it's
Oh,
a burlesque studio here called the House of Bits. And they had classes. I signed up with one of my friends. Kim Bustable was the teacher, and she was like, we should do this. Like, we have time, like it's Tuesday nights, whatever. We're gonna make sure our husbands watch the kids. Like, we're going to this class, like no excuses. And it was an 8-week course. And so we went to all 8 and just absolutely I fell in love with it. I was a lifelong performer and dancer before. And so it just like reignited that thing I needed in me. And so I just loved it. And I was like, well, even if I don't ever really get gigs, like I'm glad I did this. But now I get gigs and
Yes. And
yeah.
with someone with the last name Bustable, I mean, you just, that right there in
Is that her
itself
yeah,
stage
is
Kim
name?
like the,
Bustable. Isn't it so good? Yeah.
is it a
But
Yeah.
stage name or a real name?
Stage name.
Which
that's her
one?
stage name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that that was the owner's real name, and I was like, oh my God. I
What
mean,
other
what
job would she
other
have?
thing would you
Obviously.
do? But I mean, come on, breast something. You're gonna do something with boobies.
That is so funny. So, like, you did the classes 2 years ago, and then so did you form a like? Did you just start doing shows there, or did you
Yeah, so I
start a
started
troupe, or how
applying for
does like?
shows that like were in the area through apps, and then Back to Black Burlesque already existed, and so I applied to become a troupe member, because they only had. I mean, obviously, there's not that many black burlesque dancers in Nashville, so there was like 3 members until last 2 years ago, and now we are up to like 9 of us. So as a troupe, we try to perform
Woohoo!
together, help each other costume, work on acts, find music. Um, and then more importantly, lately too, like just kind of creating a green book of like, hey, I went to this show in this place, and like perfect example, like Tulsa Burlesque Festival just got their headliners all quit because they were like, hey, this is not safe for like queer or BIPOC people. And so making kind of a green book of like where are and aren't safe places for us to perform, all of those things.
It's kind of sad that you have to make in
Yeah,
2025. I'm just saying.
For our ignorant white listeners, could you explain what a green book is? I know it from the movie, but
like,
could you explain what that is?
Actually, that just made me think of the Abbott Elementary episode with Jacob when he says he loved me.
Yes. Yeah, I love that episode. I love Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, Green Book is a safe place they started in the 50s and 60s for Black people to know where they could stay traveling. So like hotels that were safe, that you could stop at, diners, and those things. And so as a Black community, we've been talking about having a green book of sorts for ourselves because, you know, I'm newer to the scene in the community, and I'm lucky that I have people and mentors that will be like, hey, don't apply there, or, you know, that's not safe. But that's also a lot of like logistics for everybody to keep up with. And so, right, like what was our actual feedback? Like, I went to this show, this is what happened. The producer, were you paid fairly? Did anything weird happen backstage? If there were any microaggressions, were they addressed? Those types of things, because I love burlesque for the community aspect. I believe that burlesque is for everybody of all body types. And so I don't want to align myself with shitty people or put my people in bad places.
Or yourself.
Like one of the women who runs
with your baby.
It's called Worldwide Burlesque Festival Day. Like, that's canceled. Burlesque Festival Day is canceled this year because she was extremely transphobic. Fuck her. We're not doing it. We're not. Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
The fuck?
And that's shitty, but it's also a reality that, like, some of these people have been operating in this community for a long time, 10 plus years, these cis white women, and they've been allowed to do shitty fucking things. And, like, unless they're called out, it's going to continue.
Right.
Well, and I would, I don't know a ton about burlesque, but I would imagine it was more of an underground art form, kind of like drag.
And burlesque so I would sisters, we are cabaret artists. Like, it's like if somebody is a burlesque performer and talks shit about sex workers, or if you're a stripper and like, no, we're not doing that.
No.
Yeah. And so, like, I would imagine there was probably like an influx of white women who wanted to come do this because of the movie Burlesque, and
which is there's no burlesque in that movie. That's cabaret, right? But
I don't like that movie.
Like, they came to the scene right around when Dita Von Teese did, and so what they think burlesque is like that, and it's not.
Yeah.
There's so much burlesque, like neurodesque and weirdlesque, and so many fun things that you can see. But more importantly, like, it is for every single body type.
Yeah.
And color
and human,
and
like whatever menagerie,
gender and whatever you are.
Yeah.
It's for all people. Or
Yeah.
That includes
it would be like if I don't know. I know the drag community has this problem too of like new drag queens coming in and trying to dictate what drag is, but I would imagine that's super frustrating knowing, just knowing the history of the little bit of history I know of burlesque and how it's always been kind of an alternative art form. So like, why are you coming here trying to tell us, this is how it is?
They're like, we're the classy strippers. And I'm like, don't do that to my strippers. Okay?
No.
We all taking off the same amount of clothes.
Because if you're a classy stripper, then you're at a stripper club, not at a burlesque
show. Classy stripper, like on a boat?
I don't know.
At the Omni? I don't know.
Yeah. On a yacht, Or they're white.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is when people are like,
100.
I feel like my bookings are being taken away from me. And I'm like, tell me more, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, mediocre dancer with shitty costumes. Did somebody take your bookings, or were they better?
Yeah. Probably better.
Yeah, probably.
Just saying. Don't be a Karen. Just take it. Just know there's people better than you out there. Yes.
So do you think this will ever become a full-time thing, or is this always just a fun side gig you're going to have?
Thing in the next few years. Gigs are definitely picking up, and but like everything, it takes time to hone your craft as an artist. And even though I've been a performer and dancer my whole life, telling a story in a 4.5 minute, 5-minute song, beginning to end, while getting all of your clothes off, is hard. Like, so taking classes, taking that feedback, and figuring out like where my niche is, because that's the other thing. Like, what kind of music do you like to dance to, and all those things. And so, yeah, there's a lot that I feel like I've learned, but I want to still keep learning. And everything I have learned about burlesque always helps my like regular life. And so I can't be mad about it. It's not once given me a bad experience. Like I can't be like, thanks to burlesque, this bad thing happened. It's like, no, everything always is good that's come from it.
Well, if you ever come back down to Shenanigans for burlesque, I will try to.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to Huntsville.
Just depends on what time it is, because I go to bed at 8, so
Listen, I did a brunch show last Sunday, and I was so happy. I was like, I love afternoon show, and you could just go home, go to bed, like.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so we have to go to Nashville and do a
brunch.
What did you
call it?
Brunch
and burlesque. Oh yeah, there's one next month. It's a cartoon one. My friend Remy is producing it, so.
Ooh, okay.
I was about to say, they do have, I know some of the Nashville drag queens come down and perform. They do a brunch at a place called Levity Live here. So I don't know. You might see if you could do a burlesque brunch down here.
Yeah, Jaden Dior Fierce is usually the main drag queen. She was on RuPaul's Drag Race. And she does, like, the next one is like Gaga themed. And then they did like a villain themed and a
Hocus Pocus one.
Hocus Pocus, yeah, we went to the Hocus Pocus one. And then she brings some queens down with her sometimes. At the Gaga one, a Dragula girl is actually going to be there. So, cool. But yeah, you could always look into that too.
Yeah.
Levity Live.
Huntsville was fun.
Have you? Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I was really, I always try and volunteer at Shenanigans just because it's hard to find guests for the podcast, and I can always feel like, hey, you want to come be on the podcast, and everybody's always so nice. So I'm so glad you came down to do this be on the phone with us.
Yeah, and they do with him volunteering. Whatever tips, it's for our advertising on the big screen when there's breaks and stuff like that. So does Lorenzo know that you do burlesque?
Yes and no. I think he understands like the concept of it. Like he knows I perform. I did do some family friendly burlesque last year at Drag at Pride that he got to see. So I think he understands like that my mom is a performer, but also he's just like, anytime he sees like a costume, he's just like, oh my gosh, the rhinestones, right? So I think he knows like, my mom is a performer.
I'm blinded.
He knows like maybe I don't know. But he definitely knows I perform. Like, he's seen me get ready and leave, like, a show and stuff.
Okay. I was just wondering.
I just had a question on just the logistics of burlesque. How naked do you get?
It just depends on the venue and everybody's comfort level. I always go down to pasties. I'm not going to not wear pasties. I like pasties. I feel like also for me, that's, like, part of losing the allure. Like, at that point. Like, you know what I mean? It's, like, the art of the tease. And so I still want to leave you something teasy. And then I love some good full coverage underwear. And I will wear thongs sometimes if needed. But that's mostly, I like full coverage because you can put more rhinestones and sequins on them versus like less underwear. Right. You can't really do as much. So that for me is the only reason.
Okay. I was just curious. I wasn't like, I know I've seen like, I watched this documentary about burlesque. I think it was like the 20s or 30s. And I remember they were talking about having a
oh my gosh,
merkin,
yes.
like a little pubic wig.
Yeah. I have friends that love merkins.
And then the fan that would always hide so that they would never see anything. That was
I love a good prop too. I love fan props. Again,
I love the gloves. For some reason, I love a good
fringe glove.
Like just to like when they just like slowly take. It's just it's fun. It looks like fun. I mean, I wouldn't do it because I'm very.
She's very. To get her on camera is always a treat.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you watch Drag Race? Did you see All Stars 3? I think it was with Benda LaCreme when she did her burlesque. Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, I know it's not. I don't know, but it was so, the tassels was so funny.
I love tassels. I love tassels. I love assholes. I love when they put the tassels on their bunches.
I don't think I've ever seen some
assholes. You haven't seen it. It's amazing.
No, I haven't either.
But I don't. Again, I've never seen an actual burlesque show live. I've only seen what I've seen in like documentaries and just knowing about the history of it, and then what I've seen on Drag Race because I have watched Drag Race since season 1. So
we'll we will make a trip up to Nashville and come see one of your shows.
I'd say we do the brunch one because that one would Let Mom get home
then we
in
could
time to
sleep.
go to sleep. Yes.
All right, so this is probably a good good time for break. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So this is next segment is snack time. Did you get yourself a snack, Miss
Oh,
Alyssa?
I did not. Should I get one?
Or did we just make you talk?
That's all right.
We just made you talk too much. That's all it was.
Usually, even when we have guests here in my house, like right now, Jennifer and I are recording in my house, we'll make snacks, and then our guests like never touch their food because we're just making them talk the entire time. So, but Jay and I had some. I don't know. My granddaughter went to a camp and at a local rec center, and I guess the local Publix gives bread away. So they had like 400 baguettes just given away. So like, can I snag one? So we grabbed some spreadable cheese and I don't know.
No, it was artichoke and.
No, it was spinach and something.
Artichoke.
Oh, artichoke. I don't know. What'd you think? Did you like it?
Was it? I don't think it was cheesy.
I might get Italian.
Yeah,
I do feel like I should brush my teeth.
Ooh,
the little
that does sound
local
good.
place by our house is celebrating 2 years today, and they're giving out free cookie orders. So and it's like obviously they're from Italy. So I was like, actually, I don't want to freaking.
There you go.
Zane and I are going out for this. Today is our 10-year anniversary, wedding anniversary.
Wait, is it gonna work? Just kidding. This isn't Teams. When you do that on Teams, like fireworks.
And then 6 years legally, right?
Yeah. Well, when we got married the first time, we went to New Orleans, but it wasn't legal at the time, so we went back 4 years later and had a legal wedding.
Yep.
Okay, so we've had our snack time. Miss Alyssa, we asked you to hold on to a story for story time. So do you have a funny story about your child or your childhood?
Yeah, I have a funny childhood story.
What you got?
And I don't know why
please
I thought
make
of
me
this
laugh.
earlier. Do you know the little automated lint things that you used to be able to use? Like you could turn them on and you could put them on your clothes and they would get the lint off. Have you ever seen one?
Is it the ones where you would put on a sweater and it would take
but it had
little,
like a motor in it?
Pills?
Okay. Yeah. I think that's more not for lint, but for
shaving the pills.
Shaving the pills off of the sweaters. I have one in my bathroom that accidentally turn on all the time.
I decided accidentally on purpose to put that on my tongue. Yeah.
How old were you?
6. Maybe.
Was it like last week?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was like 6 when this happened, and I just remember I was at my grandma's for the summer, and I just remember my mouth because I put it in there, my mouth.
Oh
my god.
Bleeding profusely, and I was like, really?
Oh.
And she was like, what the hell did you cut your tongue on? And I had to show her the little thing, and she was so pissed. She was like, why did you do that? Why would I'm like, I don't know. Why? Because I'm 6 and it's stupid. I don't know why would I put that. And honestly, I thought, your tongue is textured. And so I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And
they would take the texture off.
Because everybody loves a smooth tongue.
Was one of the lowest moments of my life. Just real humble.
You were curious, and kids are curious, and that's when bad things happen.
Okay, I will say that is when you started talking about shaving the pills off, I was like, oh no, did she put this in her pubic area? That's what I was like, because teenage kids are always like, oh, I'm gonna, or at least boys were always like, I'm gonna try shaving my balls, and it's like god awful. I don't know how it is for girls if y'all first time you shave your pubic area and then it's like itchy as fuck.
You don't
afterwards.
use a pill shaver.
Well, I don't know. She's 11 and she's just like, it looks like a shaver. I'm gonna stick it on my hoo-ha and see what it does.
That would have been a more reasonable place to stick it than my tongue, to be fair, but
yes, it would.
No.
It hurt real bad.
God.
I'm gonna say your clothes. That's where you put it, not on your actual body part. No.
Now we know.
Oh my god.
But oh my gosh. Now I'm never gonna look at. And I'm never gonna look at it the same way again. I'm probably gonna take it out of my bathroom.
When I got it. Literally, you should not have
because my 14-year-old. I don't use it because I don't wear sweaters anymore. Because they used to have a dress code at work where I had to dress up slacks and a nice shirt or sweater, and I haven't used it probably in 5 years, but it's just been hanging there. It's not been bothering anything. But now that you say that, I have a stupid 14-year-old, and now I gotta I'll just throw it away.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, your poor tongue.
Yeah. I bet you couldn't. Oh God, just thinking about eating and drinking afterwards.
Ask her if she remembers this after this. Be like, Granny, do you remember that time I used that pill shaver on my tongue and completely mutilated my tongue?
Oh, Jesus.
God. Well, that's a good one. That's a good story. I mean, that's probably one of the best stories so far that we've had.
Oh,
I did
go, Alyssa. But
sneak the vegan strips, dog treats, and my grandma was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, please." Yeah,
you were eating them?
I definitely ate several of them.
Well, I will say that I think Wesley's eaten some of the dog treats that are the fancy ones that I used to get in the bark box. I think he smelled it and it smelled good, and he was like, I just want to try it.
Well, I remember when we first got the kids, I think they were like 6 or 7, and I was putting the dog food out, and they're like, is dog food edible? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't taste very good, but it's not going to hurt you. And they're like, can we try it? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Go and try it. And they took a little nibble or a lick or off the kibble, and they're like, yeah. I was like, it doesn't taste good, but it's edible. So
it's better than the pill shaver.
Oh, Jesus.
Anything is better.
Okay, so right on that note,
for all our listening audience, thanks again for listening to another episode of A Guide to Poor Parenting. If you have any funny stories about your kids,
or if you need some bad parenting advice or have any ideas for topics,
or you want to shave your tongue like Alyssa did,
no.
Email us at guidetopoorparenting@gmail.com.
If you like our do we want to let her do her?
Oh yeah, do you want to plug your troupe or your?
Yeah, follow us on Back to Black Burlesque, and then I'm UTCOCOA Nashville, Facebook, Instagram, and all the things.
I'm gonna send you a friend request.
Yeah, and I'll tag you in the social media post. So if you want to. And I'll send me your links, and I'll make sure they're included in the post. So follow Alyssa and her band of merry burlesque dancers.
That's right. All right. So if you like our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening on.
And if you don't like our podcast, just like when our kids ask why they have to wash their clothes, even though I can smell them from the other room.
Tough shit. Wash your clothes. Ew.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.